You are listening to Crime Unraveled, a Buck Taylor novel by Chuck Morgan.
Chapter 4. Buck Taylor had taken advantage of the nice day and hadn't stopped working since breakfast. First, he raked up all of what he hoped would be the last of the leaves in his yard and his neighbor's yard. Then he cut the grass for what he hoped was the last time, winterized the lawnmower and locked it in the shed in the backyard. Now he was changing the oil in the snowblower and getting it ready for the coming season. This was one of those bittersweet times in life. It was the end of the summer season and the start of the getting ready for winter season. The trees were bare, the flowers were all but gone, and any day it could snow. This morning, when he started working in the yard, there was a light coating of frost on the grass, a harbinger of things to come. Buck had just plugged in the grinder to sharpen the blades on the snowblower when his phone rang. He checked the number and answered. "Yes, sir?" "Afternoon, Buck," said Director Jackson. "Hope I'm not catching you in the middle of a river somewhere." Buck laughed. Everyone knew about Buck's love of fly fishing, and people calling him always expected to find him knee-deep in some river. They were usually not disappointed. "No, sir. Just getting some end-of-summer chores finished." "What's up?" Kevin Jackson was the director of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and Buck's boss. He had been the youngest person to ever run the bureau when he was appointed by Governor Richard J. Kennedy 6 years ago. He'd had a stellar career with the Colorado Springs Police Department before being tapped for the top post at CBI. He was more bureaucrat than cop, having spent most of his career on the administrative side at CSPD, but he was a seasoned investigator and was well respected in the law enforcement community, and so far Buck was impressed with him. "I take it you haven't been watching the news?" "No, sir," said Buck. "What have I missed?" Buck put the bottle of engine oil on the workbench and wiped his hands on the white shop towel. "This morning at around 3 a.m., there was a landslide in Glenwood Canyon." "Well, that's not unusual, sir," said Buck. "That happens several times a year." The director interrupted. This time it was bad. A section of the interstate, several hundred yards long, is gone. It's been replaced by a huge rockfall to the west side of the Hanging Lake Tunnel, and it dammed up the Colorado River. Buck leaned back against the workbench, trying to absorb what the director had just said. His phone chimed with an incoming text, and he opened his messages and clicked on the photo the director had sent him. He stared at the picture, trying to comprehend the magnitude of what he was looking at. "The governor took that picture this morning when he flew over the damage. He told me he had never seen anything like this. The damaged area is huge and is going to take years to clean up." "Sir," said Buck. "What's our interest?" "This looks like a job for engineers and road crews." Buck Taylor was an investigative agent for the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. He was assigned to the CBI field office in Grand Junction, Colorado. Somehow, he had become the favorite go-to guy for the governor of Colorado, Richard J. Kennedy, who was in fact one of those Kennedys. The governor was in his second term in office, and Buck had been instrumental in closing several high-profile investigations during that period, which made the governor look good. As a result, when a situation came up that might get a little hairy, the governor always asked to have Buck assigned. "Yeah. That's what I said when the governor called me. As far as the world is concerned, this appears to have been a natural event. Possibly an earthquake. But here's the issue. We have a missing trooper. His patrol route was Glenwood Canyon. He reported to dispatch that he was leaving his vehicle to investigate a semi parked in the right lane. That was the last anyone heard from him. According to the governor, when the state patrol checked his dashcam footage, they saw a white flash at about the time of the landslide. He hasn't been heard from since. The IT folks at the company that stores all the dashcam video said the flash could have been from the shockwave frying the electronics in the vehicle. Or it could have been from something else, said Buck. Maybe an explosion? The director was silent for a few seconds, and Buck waited. "Yeah," he said. "Or it could have been an explosion." It could also be a bunch of other things, but the governor needs answers. He is mobilizing an army to start removing the rocks from the canyon and to get Cottonwood Pass ready to handle large amounts of traffic. He wants to understand what happened in the canyon this morning so as not to put anyone in harm's way. This work is going to be dangerous enough without having to deal with something unnatural. Understood, sir. I'll call Bax and Paul and have them meet me in Glenwood Springs. Can you call Franklin and roll the forensic team? I'll meet him in the canyon on the west side of the damage. I'm on it, Buck, said the director. Listen, Buck. For now, this is a need-to-know operation. Anything you and the team discover goes through me and the governor. No one else. You okay with that? No problem, sir. We'll be as discreet as possible. One last thing. Can you have the State Patrol give us authorization to review all the dashcam and bodycam footage for the trooper? We'll also need CDOT to give us access to the video from the tunnel monitoring station. You'll have it by the time you get to Glenwood Springs, said the director. Buck, be careful. The director disconnected the call, and Buck stood for a few minutes looking at the additional pictures the director had included in the text. The damage was incredible. He finished what was left of his bottle of Coke, dropped it in the trash, and made several phone calls. Hey, Buck. What's up, said Bax. Buck explained the conversation he had with the director and told her to meet him in Glenwood Springs. I was watching the report about the landslide on the news this morning. So, the governor thinks this might have been terrorism? That's what we need to figure out, said Buck. Head out that way and see if you can get us a couple of rooms. That might be tough, but see what you can come up with. Anything else? She asked. No, I'll call Paul next. The director is calling Franklin to roll his team. Since you guys will be there before me, check in with the chief of police and the sheriff. I'm guessing they have a command center set up someplace. Okay, Buck. I'm on my way. See you tonight. Buck disconnected the call and dialed Paul Weber. Buck could hear kids yelling in the background. Hiya, Buck. Hold on a sec. He could hear Paul talking to someone in the background. Sorry about that, said Paul. Kids are having an end-of-summer swim party. I think there's 20 kids in my backyard. What's up? Buck went through the same speech. When he was finished, Paul asked him what else he needed, and Buck told him what he'd asked Bax to do. No worries, Buck. I'll get on the road right away. I could use a couple of hours of silence after this swim party. I'll see ya when I see ya. Paul disconnected the call, and Buck speed dialed another number. Hey, Buck, said Mel. Bax called and filled us in. What do you need us to do? The Mel referred to was herself and her partner George. George Peterman and Melanie Hart were the CBI cybersecurity team based out of Grand Junction, Colorado, and they couldn't be more different. Melanie Hart was about 5'2", with shoulder-length black hair. She wore black jeans and dark gray hoodies and had several piercings. Anyone meeting her for the first time would think she was a high school kid, but she had received her doctorate in computer science from MIT about a dozen years ago. She joined CBI right out of college. George Peterman could have passed for her father. He was about the same height as Buck, a shade under 6 foot, but where Buck still weighed what he'd weighed when he played football in high school, George had added a few pounds over the years. George had joined CBI after retiring from the Navy, where he'd spent his entire career working in cybersecurity. As far as Buck was concerned, George and Melanie were two of the best computer people he knew. Paul Weber was good. Ashley Baxter was better, but these two were world-class. The director is getting us access to the State Patrol's cloud storage. Get the trooper's ID and pull up his bodycam and dashcam footage for his entire patrol. Also call the C.IT team and get access to all the traffic camera footage for the canyon. Let's go back to around midnight. What are we looking for? Asked George, who had come on the line while Buck was talking. Not sure, said Buck. More than anything, I want the unvarnished footage in our possession. Got it, said Mel. We'll pull it and archive it all. Is that it? Buck thought for a minute. You know what, this may be a waste of time, but start checking social media and news feeds, and let's see if anyone is talking about the landslide. You know what I'm looking for. Will do, Buck. We'll connect with you when you get to Glenwood. Buck disconnected the call and walked towards his back door. He needed a quick shower, fresh clothes, and his badge and gun. Once inside, he called his daughter-in-law Judy, who lived around the corner, and told her where he was headed and that he had no idea when he would be back. Judy promised, as always, to keep an eye on his house while he was gone. She told him to be safe. Buck finished up, grabbed his go-bag, locked up the house, and threw his gear in the back of his Jeep Grand Cherokee, next to his tub of fly fishing gear. He wondered where this investigation would take him. He had seen a lot in his 36 years in law enforcement, and he was no longer surprised by anything he encountered, but blowing up an entire canyon and destroying a highway? Well, that would be a new one on him, if they found out that this was not a natural disaster. He started his Jeep, connected his phone to the entertainment system, and pulled out of his driveway. He had a long drive ahead of him, and a lot of time to think.
Thank you for listening to this chapter of Crime Unraveled, a Buck Taylor novel by Chuck Morgan. You can find the entire crime series as well as other novels by Chuck Morgan at chuckmorganbooks.com or on Amazon.